I just have one thing to say.
Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Working so hard like a soldier.
Hello, America, and welcome to America's favorite show, Debate Review, Part 2, The Final Countdown, the show where I watch the debate so then you don't have to. Also, I want to make sure to apologize for that beginning clip. I thought it was super duper funny, but it will probably be copyright stricken, and those on Spotify will not be able to see it, but if you go onto the YouTube page, you'll probably be able to see it until YouTube, unfortunately, takes it down. I personally thought it was a very, very funny clip, but that's all up to interpretation, and maybe YouTube won't take it down. Maybe we'll be able to slide under the radar, which would be very, very cool. So anyway, enough about that gobbledygook. Let's talk about the actual debate, as I believe that I talked a little bit last week about how this debate could be very, very different, as there would be a mute button on the different mics. Now, I thought for sure that the moderator would be in charge of these mute buttons, but it was actually the debate commission that controlled this, and it set my mind at ease. As at first I thought the moderator was just gonna cut Trump off all the time, or she would cut off Biden, and then that just wouldn't be really fair if the moderator is just cutting off different people at different times because they don't like what they said. I thought Trump was gonna be right in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden you wouldn't be able to hear him anymore, and that just wouldn't make for a good debate, I don't think. And it was really good at the beginning of the debate as the moderator actually explained what was happening. So then the American people would know, oh, well, she's just shutting off Joe Biden's mic. Oh, no, she's just shutting off Donald Trump's mic. And she explained it very, very well. Take a listen.
Each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say.
So 2 minutes each person speaks, and then another person speaks. There is no talking over, no outbursts from Trump and Joe Biden, which was a very, very good thing for Donald Trump, which we will definitely talk about in this episode. Honestly, this debate was beautiful, and it was a very good performance by both men. It was cool, calm, and collected. Everyone got to put in their own 2 cents, and this was beneficial for the American people to decide who they wanted to be the president of the United States. So to dive into this debate, I wanted to talk about the top 5 most important moments that happened in this debate. And there's a lot to go through, so let's get started with number 5. Biden is a typical politician. There is something that annoys me a lot about politicians, and it is this idea that they can repeat lines that you can tell are written and practiced before the debate. And this is what Washington, D.C. gives us. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Here's Chris Christie talking about it back in 2016.
You see, everybody, I want the people at home to think about this. That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech that is exactly what his advisors gave him.
This is what politicians do. They make up fancy little phrases and expect them to end up on t-shirts. So here is a special montage of all of the special one-liners that Joe Biden said during this debate.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. There's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family.
Now, that was just an example of a few, as he said the red states and blue states line actually twice. However, Donald Trump absolutely smacked Joe Biden for being a typical politician. Here's how that sounded.
Typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I
President
got elected.
Let's
get off the subject of China. Let's talk around, sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk.
Man, I love the ending of that clip where he says, "Come on, Joe, you could do better than that." I might have to use that someday. Anyway, I don't have a problem with one-liners when they are executed correctly. To me, it just doesn't seem very genuine for Joe Biden. And if you want me to be honest, it makes Joe Biden look like a robot. We know he's going to talk about Scranton. We know he's going to talk about hypothetical situations. And we know all of his lines before he even gives them. It was funny because I was actually watching this debate and the topic of climate change came up, and I said in my best Joe Biden voice, "I believe that climate change is an existential threat." And then Joe Biden said the exact same thing that I did. This is because he is a typical politician and is memorized and rehearsed. Donald Trump used this to attack Joe Biden just like he did Hillary Clinton in 2016, saying this.
Why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a
Your
lot of
response.
it done. We released
didn't get
38,000.
anything
We got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners.
This was a truly beautiful moment for Donald Trump, showing he is not a typical politician, and that is one of the reasons why people voted for him in 2016. Number 4, Trump talks about the record. Trump had some other beautiful moments during this debate as well, and this came from Donald Trump actually talking about the plans that he has done to help the African American community. And I don't remember if I talked about this in the VP debate, but what I really liked about the VP debate was that Mike Pence actually laid out the plans that Donald Trump and him have done. And I think that that was a beneficial moment for Mike Pence, as it showed that the administration was doing something for people. And Donald Trump used this to point out how he has helped the African American community. However, first, let's step back a little bit, as I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how Donald Trump absolutely slapped Joe Biden for the 1994 crime bill, as Joe Biden claimed that there was institutional racism, and Trump clapped back and says, "Well, it's your fault, and look at what I've done." Take a listen.
He's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform, Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities.
Yes, I understand that that was a very, very long clip, but it is also a very, very important clip, as it showed that Donald Trump has not been an evil racist in the White House, but he has actually done things to help people out, especially the African American community. And like Donald Trump says, no one talks about it. This, of course, has to be very, very irritating for Donald Trump. as he has to stand there and say that he is the least racist person in the room. Here is how that sounded.
As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know. I don't know
videos?
what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. They can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark. But I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
You can tell that Donald Trump is frustrated as he once again goes through all of the accomplishments that he has done for the African American community. And of course, Joe Biden responds to this with some funny moment calling Donald Trump Abe Lincoln, and Trump is very confused, and this was supposed to be a strong point for Joe Biden, but really it wasn't. Here's how it sounded.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. He started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
He says racist, fire, and then says poor boys instead of proud boys. And he also called Donald Trump Abe Lincoln as an insult. I mean, come on, man. Number 3, who built the cages? Of course, immigration came up during this debate, and the idea of the children locked up in cages at the border came up. Trump talks about how sometimes criminals grab kids and use them to get into the country. Trump called them coyotes, and many very, very smart people on Twitter thought that Trump meant a legit coyote, like the animal. Like, how dumb do you have to be to think that? Donald Trump then goes on to ask Joe Biden who built the cages. Here is the first time.
But just ask one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your...
Joe Biden does not give an answer, but instead he talks about how kids have been ripped from their parents, and that it wasn't coyotes, but it was actually their parents, which was a good line, but didn't really answer the question. Here's how that sounded.
Came with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Trump then asks the same question. Who built the cages? Here's how that sounded.
They did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to that?
They did it. We changed.
Did not
They built the
separate
cages.
They-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about.
The moderator then cuts in, and we don't actually get a straight answer from Joe Biden on who built the cages. Luckily, we are not cavemen, we have technology, and we can actually look up who built the cages. As according to the AP, Trump used facilities that were built during the Obama-Biden administration to house children at the border. The article continues by saying, at the height of the controversy over Trump's zero-tolerance policy at the border, photos that circulated online of children in the enclosures generated great anger. But those photos, by the Associated Press, were taken in 2014. And depicted some of the thousands of unoccupied children held by President Barack Obama. So it was correct for Donald Trump to call Joe Biden out for this, and I wish that Joe Biden would have been able to answer that question. During a WWE match, one of the most exciting things that happens is when an opponent smacks someone else with a steel chair. This moment for me during this debate was when Donald Trump attacked Joe Biden on Hunter Biden. It was crisp, clean, beautiful, and it just connected super duper well for Donald Trump. And to my shock, my actual shock, like my jaw hit the ground, the moderator actually asked Joe Biden about the emails. And this clip also includes a little bit of Joe Biden's answer. Here's how that sounded.
Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably.
Now, the reason I was shocked about this question was because all week long, the media has been saying that all of this was just Russia misinformation. And Joe Biden said that along with saying that everything was 100% fine and there's nothing to worry about. Then Donald Trump came back in and just absolutely slapped Hunter Biden. Here's how that sounded.
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. $183,000, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president respond to that quickly, and then I.
Now, during the debate, Donald Trump, of course, brought up Hunter a lot, as it is still something that is very, very important. And it is still something that Joe Biden has not 100% answered on. Joe Biden has said that everything that his son has done was okay, but he has not confirmed or denied if the emails are true or false. However, there was something very, very big that happened before the debate, as Hunter Biden's business partner, Tony Babalucci, had a press conference where he basically explained everything that happened with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, in China. Joe Biden has claimed many of times that he has never talked to his son Hunter Biden about business dealings in other countries. Pawlinsky says that is 100% wrong. Here's how that sounded.
Heard Joe Biden say that he's never discussed business with Hunter. That is false. I have firsthand knowledge about this because I directly dealt with the Biden family, including Joe Biden.
He then goes on to say that all of the things that he is saying are true because he has emails and texts to prove it. He also explained that Joe Biden knew everything about this situation and that Joe Biden was getting money from Hunter. Here's how that sounded.
On May 13, 2017, I received an email concerning allocation of equity, which says 10% held by H for the big guy. In that email, there's no question that H stands for Hunter, big guy for his father, Joe Biden.
Now, Donald Trump actually invited this man to the debates. Now, it is hard because we are not 100% sure who this guy is, but if he is credible, then this could be a very incriminating thing for Joe Biden and show that he is a Ukrainian or Chinese Scrooge, and all of these emails can be verified as true. Number 1, fracking. Now you may be thinking, Kyle, I am so sick and tired of you talking about fracking. We know that both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have lied through their teeth saying that they want to get rid of it. However, dear viewer, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris continue to dig themselves into deeper and deeper holes. And this is why this was probably the best moment of the debate. First of all, we have to go back to the beginning as Trump brings up fracking. Here's how that sounded.
All a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right,
now,
let me
let me
allow Vice President
Joe Biden then responds by saying this.
Biden to
I
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Show
he's
the list.
flat lying.
Would you?
Biden said to put it up on the website. Guess what? Trump did it, as he posted it on his favorite platform, Twitter. Here's how that looked.
Never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipeline infrastructure and
No new fracking. You got to transition away from it. Look, you're going to ban fracking all across America right now, right?
I would love to.
Yeah, I'd love to too. I'd love to make sure we can't use any oil or gas, period. Look in my eyes. I guarantee we're going to end fossil fuel. We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
It was a really, really big mistake for Joe Biden to tell the king of Twitter to post something on Twitter about you lying to the American people. Honestly, this was a huge, huge, huge mistake. But there were more mistakes coming from Joe Biden. As Donald Trump continued to pressure Joe Biden about the idea of fracking and natural gas, and Trump asks if Joe Biden wants to get rid of natural gas. And this was Joe Biden's answer.
Final
Would he
question.
close
It
down
falls-
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
It
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But you
That's a
can't
big
do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
My favorite part of this exchange is when the moderator was like, why? I could imagine she wanted to say, why would you say that, you dummy? This was a huge statement, as states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and even the whole United States are focused on natural gas, including oil, coal, and other fuel. And Trump explains this by saying,
We actually do give
All right.
it to solar and wind.
We
and
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then
Ohio.
we look around our great union and we see states like California, where they have increasing brownouts and gas prices that have continued to rise. If we get Joe Biden into the Oval Office, we could see this happen all around the country, and hopefully people understand this as they head to the polls. There is nothing wrong with green technology. The only issue with it is that it's not powerful enough to power everything that we have through natural gas. It's not like from a light switch we can automatically go from natural gas to solar or wind. And I believe that this statement from Joe Biden really isolated those groups of people. And they are now making their way to the Trump train. So that was the entire debate. And like I said at the very beginning, it was a really, really good debate. Both men were able to get their 2 cents in, and the moderator shockingly did a very, very good job and was not biased against Trump or Biden, but was very even. More importantly, Trump was not debating the moderator, but he was debating Joe Biden. Along with that, Joe Biden was able to get words in. However, as the night continued to go on, it seemed that Joe Biden was falling apart. He seemed tired, and he seemed to be stammering around, and that honestly didn't make him look very good. In the end, I believe hands down that Donald Trump won this debate, and it will be very, very interesting to see if this debate performance will help Donald Trump in the polls or not. As we have already seen that in important battleground states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Florida are all becoming very, very close, which, to be honest, will make for a very, very interesting and exciting election night. However, we will just have to talk about the election on this Saturday, as the election is actually on Tuesday, and I want to make a video pre-election talking about why you should go out and vote for Donald Trump. That will be coming up this Saturday, which the whole election is very exciting, scary, and nerve-wracking. But don't worry, no matter what happens, we will be here to talk about it. So until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.